The thing about narcissists is that they need control like they need oxygen. It's not just something they enjoy, it's the foundation of their entire identity. Control keeps their fragile sense of self intact. And without it, well, that's when things start to unravel. They have an uncanny ability to spot the people who will give them that control. It's not a conscious thing, it's almost instinctual. They gravitate toward the kind, the empathetic, the ones who see the best in others, not because they admire these qualities, but because they see them as opportunities. They see generosity as a weakness, vulnerability as a flaw, and emotional depth as something they can manipulate. They test the waters early on, pushing small boundaries, making little comments that don't seem like a big deal at first. A subtle put down disguised as a joke, a moment of selfishness brushed off with charm. And if you don't push back, if you let it slide, that's when they know they've got an opening. Their control doesn't always look like control in the beginning. It looks like affection.
So I think she might be coming at this from the point of view of a narcissistic spouse or a narcissistic partner. When it's your parent, how are you supposed to separate the affection, supposed affection they're giving you from the manipulation? How are you supposed to question your parent and think to yourself, maybe mom's manipulating me? As a child, that's why this is so heartbreaking.
This is what makes narcissists so dangerous. They don't come in with a wrecking ball. They come in like a dream, making you feel special, chosen. They mirror your best qualities, reflect your hopes and dreams back at you, and before you know it, you're attached, you're emotionally invested. And once they know you're in, that's when the game shifts. The way they maintain control depends on what works best for them. Some use guilt suggestions that you're not being fair to them, that you're too sensitive, too demanding. Others use comparison, praising someone else just enough to make you feel like you need to earn their approval. And some use fear, not always physical, but the kind of fear that keeps you second guessing yourself.
This is all super relatable so far. Just absolutely in line with the parent that manipulated me for years.
Conflict, fear of being misunderstood, fear of not being enough for them. They create an environment where you feel like you're always walking on eggshells, trying to avoid upsetting them. And
that's been trained into me. So that's been something I've had to unlearn, the feeling of walking on eggshells around not just my mom, but people in general, just wanting to make people happy, wanting to make sure people know that I care and that I love them, and try to meet other people's needs. And in doing so, I tend to neglect my own.
Where most people stay trapped, not because they don't see the red flags, but because narcissists make you question whether those red flags are even real. That's the power of manipulation. They make you doubt yourself before you ever doubt them.
Oh my gosh.
And once self-doubt creeps in, once you start wondering if maybe you are being too sensitive, maybe you are the problem.
She actually always told me I was the problem. My mom would always say, you know, sometimes if you look around in life and you seem to have so many problems around you, maybe you're actually the problem. And looking back now, I believed her. She needed me to believe negative things about me so that I would never question her. That's what I truly believe.
That's when they've got you exactly where they want you. But here's the thing about control. It only works when you believe in it. It only holds power when you're still seeking their approval, still believing that if you just do the right thing, say the right words, be the right version of yourself, they'll finally treat you the way they did in the beginning.
And then when it's your parent, you naturally need that love as a child to survive. You need their protection, you need their care. So it's almost impossible to not want to maintain that bond. It's very confusing.
Version, that was never real. That was a mask. The moment you see the pattern, the moment you realize that their love, their validation, their approval is conditional, it changes everything. Because then you start to understand that you don't have to play by their rules. You don't have to keep proving yourself to someone who only values you when you're easy to control.
There we have it. I believe that's why certain children are targeted. I believe that's why pathological parents sometimes will alienate one child from their other parent, and allow the other children to maintain in contact. I think they pick the child that they need to control. They pick the child who is more outspoken, who questions things, maybe fights back a bit, who is more independent-minded, who critically analyzes things and picks up maybe on some of the issues that the pathological parent has with themselves. And I think that's why my mom targeted me, because all of my brothers are more go with the flow, worshiping her, accepting what she says and believes at face value, not questioning her, never questioning her, always trying to please her. Whereas me, throughout the years, honestly, since the beginning of time with her, I've always questioned her. I've always pushed back. Our relationship was not an easy one. It was very, very much contentious relationship, because I would question her at every turn. I would tell her what I didn't like and what I thought she was doing wrong, and I imagined she hated this, and I was not easy to control. That's why she alienated me, because she needed to control me. That's my belief. I don't really think that gender plays the biggest part. Like, I always thought maybe it's because I'm the only girl. Maybe she was jealous of my relationship with my dad, but she wasn't jealous of my brother's relationship with my dad. Maybe that does play a small part. I'm not sure. But I think it really comes down to control. And she needed to control me in a way that she didn't need to control my brothers, because they weren't fighting back. They weren't asking questions. They see her in a very black and white way. They put her on a pedestal and they worship her and they don't question her. And it's almost like they don't think for themselves. They just fall in line. And that was never me. So it makes sense that she probably felt a little threatened by that. She probably was scared that I would see through her. And it's just really, if I'm being totally honest, it's really upsetting, because all I wanted was to have a loving relationship with her. All I wanted was a good relationship, to be loved. And for her, it was all about control.
And when that moment happens, when you break free from the illusion and take back your power, that's when they panic. That's when they realize they're losing control over you. And a narcissist without control is a narcissist who's unraveling. There's a shift that happens when you finally decide deep in your bones that you're not playing the game anymore. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's not even something you announce. It's just this quiet, unshakable knowing that you're done being manipulated. And the moment that happens, the moment you stop reacting the way they expect, that's when everything changes.
Yeah, so that happened with me. I stopped. I learned everything. And I think she knew it. I confronted her a couple times. What did she do in response? She discarded me. She spread lies about me to everyone and anyone who would listen. She's probably still doing that. She treated me just like she treated my dad during and after their divorce. She started telling people that I'm a narcissist, that I'm selfish, that all these crazy things about her daughter, just like she had to do it with my dad to get ahead of him, to have a scapegoat. And maybe it's so that when I did tell people the truth, they wouldn't believe me. Any psychologists watching could probably give better insight into why she did that. But yeah, she completely discarded me, and all I wanted from her was acknowledgement of what she's done and an apology. It's taken a long time, 3 years in fact, for me to get to the point where I really don't have the anger towards her anymore. especially as a new mom right now, going through that with my third baby, who just arrived, it's brought up some things like, I think for the first time since all of this happened and we stopped being in each other's lives, I think I do miss her for the first time. And I'm not sure that I actually miss her, but that I miss having a mom in that vulnerable postpartum time. And it's something in moments like that, like holidays and moments where I'm feeling more vulnerable, I think bring up these emotions. But I've gotten to the place now where I truly just pity her. I feel bad for her. I know that what she did to me was learned behavior from her mom. I know that the reason why she is the way she is probably because of her own traumas as a child, and they were pretty severe traumas. And I wish that she had faced that and healed. I wish that she had the self-awareness to do so. If anything, I'm sad that I can't have a relationship with my mom. For me, and I know that this isn't the case for everyone, I think that to maintain some contact with your parents is probably preferable. For me, there was no choice in whether or not to maintain contact. There were multiple types of abuse going on. I'm not going to get into it, but it wasn't safe for me or my children to maintain contact. But I've gotten to the point where I've forgiven her, and it's very freeing. At this point, I just pray for her. I really do. I feel bad for her. I wish I could limit the damage that she continues to cause, especially to some of my siblings. But at the same time, I have to accept that's beyond my control. Sorry for rambling. This is all very painful in the narcissistic parent. Let's see if we can gain anything else from this video.
On control, they thrive on your reaction. Your anger, your hurt, your confusion, it fuels them. It tells them that they still have power over you, that they can still pull the strings and make you dance. Even your attempts to explain yourself, to make them see what they're doing, to get them to take responsibility, those are all forms of engagement. And as long as you're engaging, they're winning. But when you stop justifying yourself, stop explaining, stop feeding into their endless cycle of drama, that's when they start to panic. Because what they fear most isn't losing you, it's losing their hold on you. At first, they won't believe it. They'll test you. They'll throw out little hooks, little comments designed to make you react. A passive-aggressive remark, a sudden burst of affection, a reminder of the good times, just to see if they can still pull you back in. And if that doesn't work, if you remain steady, if you hold your boundaries without guilt or anger, that's when the mask starts to slip. Because here's what a narcissist cannot handle: someone they cannot control.
Even if it's their child. Especially if it's their child. I've often said, okay, I understand that my mom manipulated me to reject my dad. She turned me against my dad for 20 years without any justification. She used lies, false allegations, control, fear tactics, a whole bunch of things to effectively turn me against my dad, starting at the age of 9. And from a targeted parent's point of view, I hear a lot of parents saying, well, the alienator is trying to hurt me through my child. Yeah, that is true. I believe my mom used me to reject my dad to hurt him. She was so angry, like angrier than I've ever seen anyone. She's so angry at my dad, hated my dad, probably still does. And I know that to take away our relationship probably really hurt him. And so yes, while she was trying to use me to hurt my dad, she weaponized me to hurt my dad. That's true. But what people often miss, in my opinion, is that pathological parents will alienate their children from their other parent in order to control them. Because if you're alienated from your other parent, who is in control of you then? It's just the pathological parent. It's the abusive parent has full control. You're isolated. You're living under their thumb. They call the shots. And because they've made you believe your other parent is so bad, so unloving, so unworthy of a relationship, the child tends to have to accept whatever modicum of love they can get from their abusive parent, because that other parent is even worse. And to have no parents, to reject both parents, at least at a certain age, is out of the question, because you need at least one parent to survive as a child. Even as you get older, as a young adult and adult, to reject both parents and effectively orphan yourself is also incredibly painful and daunting and difficult. Nobody really wants to do that either. So they put themselves in the position where the child is fully reliant on that abusive parent for all of their needs. And that's how they control a child who might be an independent thinker, who might question them or see through them. They have to take away the other parent, because that other healthy, loving parent, I think that psychologically damaged parent knows that the child will choose them. The child will prefer them if the child has a choice, if they're not manipulated.
Someone who refuses to be manipulated, someone who stands their ground, not out of spite, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. And that's what this really comes down to. It's not about playing their game better. It's about stepping out of the game entirely. And when you do, they feel it. They feel the shift. Suddenly they're scrambling, trying to figure out why their old tactics aren't working anymore. Some will lash out, trying to provoke you into reacting just to prove to themselves that they still have control. Others will play the victim, twisting the story so that somehow they're the ones who have been wrong. Some will even disappear for a while.
Yep. So what's happened with a lot of my family members, including siblings, is they've taken sides, and it's not something that I've pressed on them. It's something my mom has pressed on them. It's because she's the eternal victim, to be honest with you. So she's gotten people to feel bad for her and pity her, that her daughter doesn't speak to her anymore, that she can't see her grandchildren anymore. But how did we get here? How did we get here? And most of the people who do feel bad for her and take her side, and these are my family members, my close family members, or once close family members. It's very painful to lose these people in my life. But have they asked for, my experience, why I had to make this decision? No. These people, they don't even watch my videos. It's like a blind loyalty. And the painful part, too, is that there's this misconception, even among my own family members, that, wow, I must be cold-hearted. I must not love or care about my mom. That is so far from the truth. The days and nights I've spent in so much pain over the loss of my mom, who's still living, cannot be emphasized enough. I never imagined not having my mom in my life. It hurts me. It is painful. I would welcome her taking accountability, making real change, getting the help she needs, apologizing, trying to repair our relationship. I would welcome that. There's redemption for everyone. Everybody has the potential for a redemption arc, but you must admit what you've done. You must take accountability. You must realize that there are things about yourself and ways you treat people and things you've done to your children that are wrong. Otherwise, you're leaving me no option. It's either continue to be abused or step out of the relationship.